Thank you, Chair Finley. Now for the report of the System-Wide Alumni Council, Dia Poole. President Dia Poole.
Thank you, Chair Monville. First, I'd just like to echo your remarks on the events in San Bernardino last December. As an alum of that campus and also as an Inland Empire resident, we were just shocked and saddened at the loss of our alumni. And on behalf of all alumni and all the campuses affected, we want to extend to the families our heartfelt thoughts and prayers for continued comfort and recovery. I also want to share in your excitement over the success of the Class of 3 Million celebration and the alumni giving and participation results. We accept your challenge to keep the momentum strong in engaging our alumni as key partners in student success through giving of their time, talent, and treasure. For the presidents, I'd like to extend my special thanks to your campus alumni relations directors who were the heart and soul of this celebration and continue to drive its success. Let me provide you briefly with an update on the alumni trustee election process. We received excellent nominations from the campuses and have selected semifinalists who will be interviewed here in Long Beach next week. From that group, finalists will be selected and will be interviewed by the full Alumni Council Board of Directors at their April meeting, where the next alumni trustee will be elected. At that same meeting on the evening of April 8th at CSU San Bernardino, the Alumni Council will host a reception and dinner in honor of Chair Monville's 10 years of service on the Board of Trustees. You all should have received a save the date, and formal invitations will be coming next month. We hope you're all able to join us for this outstanding opportunity and event recognizing Lou's contributions. In November, I shared with you the Alumni Council's focus on sharing stories surrounding legacy, the legacy of the CSU transforming lives through generations of families. Our guest speaker at that meeting was a two-generation alumni family. I strongly believe that seeking out and telling these stories is key to our goal of keeping alumni connected and inspiring our next generation of students. A true living example of the power of CSU legacy is with us today, Tony Kawashima. Many of you may recognize Tony here as our official photographer at many CSU Chancellor's Office events. And that's the thing about the CSU. You don't have to go far to find an alum with an amazing story. Tony served 8 years on the Tustin City Council, including a term as mayor in 2004. Tony's legacy at CSU stretches across 3 generations and 3 campuses, Long Beach, Fullerton, and Cal Poly SLO. Thank you for joining us today, Tony.
Thank you, Dia. Chair Monville, Board of Trustees, Chancellor White, campus presidents and staff, thank you for this opportunity to tell how the CSU has impacted my family. It's an educational partnership that really stretches 3 generations. And it all starts, I'll start at the beginning with my mother, Elsie Kawashima, who, because of her poor health, could not attend, but I did my best to interview as a journalism major to get part of her story. My mother really is a product of the 50s. She was married at 19, had 3 children by 23, and at that time, women really had 4 basic careers, she told me. You either became a nurse, a teacher, secretary, or housewife. My mom became a housewife and did that all through, as I remember, up to middle school until one night actually at dinner, my mom made an announcement that she enrolled in college. And we were kind of stunned, but we were all very supportive about it. And to her, it wasn't really for a career. It was just really unfinished business because at 19, she had to raise a family and never had a chance to pursue a career or an education. So for the next 4 years, our living room basically became her study room, piled with books and papers. She was an English major. And the impact, well, she learned really where I learned the skill of multitasking. Not only did she have to cook dinner for the family, kept up with the house and our homework, when we were all in bed is when my mom would do her homework for classes at Long Beach. Really, her CSULB experience really opened her eyes. She went to classes probably during most exciting times. It was during the late 60s at the height of the Vietnam War. So my mother, being a housewife since she was 19, be thrown into this environment, she recites how a typical day on campus, she would hear often Tom Hayden speak against the war. Cesar Chavez, Eldridge Cleaver. She'd have the anti-war people with the veterans. And always, I believe on Fridays, she talked about the Hare Krishna people were always in front of the bookstore chanting and singing. So it really was quite the experience for my mother, and it had long-term impact on her in terms of her view of the world and how she would see things. From that generation, which is my wife, Ellen, who's a graduate of Cal State Fulton class of 1983, and myself, Cal State Long Beach, 1977, and that's me on assignment for the Daily 49er. I was photo editor, shaking hands with Governor Brown the first time around, which was the old chancellor's office on the other side of the street. My wife, Ellen, was a liberal studies major, and for her, college, as she told me, really, she was a very shy person, but college really helped her communication skills, learned how to multitask, gave her confidence, and she now has worked 25 years in the insurance industry. My degree was journalism. As I mentioned, I was on the Daily 49er. I really credit my education at Long Beach State as giving me the foundation for my career as photography. It's my life, and really it's my passion. On vacations, I take pictures. It's what I live for. I also learned very important skills in problem solving and multitasking. It wasn't until probably 2 years ago I had an epiphany where I used to loathe my math classes in college. Being a photographer, I thought math classes were senseless, but it finally struck me that the reason I took these math classes, it gave me the ability to problem solve. Just take something complex and break it down into simple, logical steps to solve. And surprisingly, it took me that long to realize that, and that helped my foundation in problem solving. My pride and joy is the third generation of my family, my two sons. My older one, Matt, is on the left, is a graduate of Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, class of 2013. His major is urban planning and design, and I really appreciate the theme. I will never forget it, of Cal Poly. It's learned by doing. And he was hired 2 months out of college by an environmental consulting and design firm in Monterey. That their firm, it's a firm of about 20 people. He's the fourth Cal Poly student to be hired by the firm, and how Cal Poly students are so sought after. They really like the Cal Poly students. And he won the job over quite a few applicants who have master's degrees from the UC schools. It's just that his practical experience at Cal Poly prepared him immediately to hit the ground running and start working. So that we're forever grateful for that. The young man on the right is my younger son, Doug. He's 22. He's Cal State Fulton, class of 2015. He is a communications major. He aspires to be a firefighter, and 2 months ago he just received his EMT certification. So he's on his step slowly towards his goal. What we really enjoyed about Cal State Fulton, he took part, and I could go on further about this, he participated in the CSU Study Abroad program. And his sophomore year of college, he spent 1 year in Uppsala, Sweden, studying abroad. And that program, as a parent, changed his life so much. Studying abroad, it gave him confidence, maturity. It was the first time that he was away from home. And to be thrown into a country, and Swedish is a very complex language. Without knowing the language, he had to get along. Changed him into a very self-sufficient young man. And so the Study Abroad program is a program we really are very thankful for. So in conclusion, it's very obvious that our family bleeds CSU. That's an understatement. The fact that we have 3 generations speaks for itself. As parents, we always want the best for our children, but yet both my wife and I work, we always want the best value too. What's the best value we get for our dollar? And without a doubt, to recommend the CSU, and if I may go out on a limb, my wife and I were very active in high school when our kids were in high school. I was PTO, Booster Club, Ed Fund, and when I was a board member of our PTO, our task was to try to bring parents to participate. And our high school in Irvine was a very wonderful high school with just a melting pot of different, it was 40% Asian, and it's a real mixture. It was wonderful. But most of the kids, parents were first generation of parents from the old country. So our chore was to try to get these parents involved in school and education. And a lot of parents maybe did not speak English well, but they all, especially, I can say this because I'm Asian, but the Asian parents from Korea, Taiwan, Vietnam, they may not know English very well, but they knew one word, UC. Drove me crazy. They all knew their kids had to go to a UC school. So I would endlessly debate with them and try to tell them, well, there's more than just UC, but it was a fascinating point from a parent who participated in the process, how they have there's almost a mystique. And don't get me wrong, my sister went to UCLA, so it's a very fine school. But how many of these parents, that's the only thing in the mind is either UC, and how often CSU was almost like second tier, and it was really a point of contention for me. So that's something that would always, I would always defend the CSU. So again, thank you very much for letting me speak. Both my boys have a desire to stay in California, so I would imagine eventually when I become a grandparent, I will see the fourth generation of the CSU attend. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Tony, for sharing your family's powerful CSU story. You truly exemplify the spirit of the CSU that our fellow alum, Dr. Hamden, spoke of yesterday during the Wong Awards. I also want to congratulate all of the award winners from yesterday. President, my search is on for a fourth generation family, so I may be snooping around a campus near you looking for them. If you know them, let me know so we can continue to highlight these wonderful stories. Thank you, Chair Monville. This concludes my report.
Thank you, President Poole.